before we get into all that, I just, for those who don't know John Kohler, as gardening expert, natural health expert, someone who knows a lot about raw foods, whole foods, plant-based. Take us back because I understand that when you were in your early 20s, you were diagnosed with spinal meningitis, or you were told by doctors some really grave things about the state of your health. So, I mean, people look at you now, they're like, wow, look at John. His skin's glowing. He has all this energy. He looks so young and vibrant. But take us back to that dark moment. What was that like when you went through that? And how did you kind of navigate that?
Yeah, that was a difficult one there, David. So like back, I was just out of college, just had graduated college. I remember playing broom ball with my fraternity brothers, and actually the next day I got really sick. I had like flu-like symptoms and even ended up passing out. And my parents had to drive an hour to basically take me to the hospital where I was like put in a wheelchair because I was like in and out of coherence. And then I remember just like waking up in the hospital with all these IVs stuck in me. My back was hurting. And I'm like, what's going on? They're like, you're hospitalized. You have spinal meningitis and you might not make it out of here alive. And I'm like, what? I thought I just had the flu. So, I mean, this is just definitely not a fun place to be because I had the viral version of meningitis. I mean, bacterial version, maybe they could have gave you antibiotics, but the viral version, there's no cure, right? So this was not a fun place to be whatsoever. And basically, I was like, I don't even know how long I was in the hospital, a week or two or something, like just trying to get through it. And they were just pumping me full of IVs or whatever else. And my mom was sitting at my bedside holding my hand like the whole time or something. I was praying, and then I had a lot of time to think. I mean, they had the crappy TVs. They didn't have no internet back then. Maybe had cable TV, but I was like, man, this is the last. I had so many thoughts going through my head when I was sitting in the hospital. Like one of the thoughts was, man, this is the last thing I'm going to see in my life. Like I never got married, never had kids, never had a dog, never made the $1 million that I wanted to because we're all raised like from a young age, like we need to make a lot of money and all this stuff. That's the life goal. And I was like, man, none of this has happened. And I thought to myself, is that stuff really important anyways? Even if I had $1 million, would I still be in this situation? Could I write a check, Mr. Doctor, $1 million, do not cash unless John is still alive if he walks out of here? Otherwise, it's null and void. No, millionaires, trillionaires, bazillionaires, I don't know how much money people have these days. They lose their lives every single day because they don't take care of the most important thing. And this is what I realized in the hospital. And this is why I'm glad
Um,
for the situation I was in when I was in my 20s because I really started valuing my health. Because at that point, when I was in the hospital, David, all I wanted, I didn't want $1 million. Screw that. All I wanted was my health back. And so one of the
hmm.
sayings is, health is your greatest wealth. And I try to take that to heart. I'm not perfect, but I try to take that to heart and do things and look in advance. Look, what am I going to be like in 10, 20 years from now? And what could I do today to influence my future health? So I mean, this is the stance I took when I was, younger in life. And in my opinion, it's definitely paid off. Another thing I really thought about is like, what do we, if we're not here for money, because we're supposed to accumulate all this money and supposed to buy you anything you want and provide all this happiness. And yeah, there's famous actors and people that have tons of money and then they commit suicide because it's a false reality. It's fake news. But But then I thought, well, what's really important then? So then I prayed and I could only say I'm here today through higher powers. And I said that like I made a promise, like I'm like, because I was raised religious. And like one of the things in religion, like different ways it's said, but basically help thy fellow man. So if we're really not here for money to make money, what are we going to do on the planet and like to help our fellow man or to live in service? Right? So like I promise that like, hey, if I get out of this situation, then I'm gonna live my life in service and be able to share what I've learned with others that healed me so that other people don't have to go through this same situation that I did. So I mean, I think those are the two main outcomes that I had from that event, that I started valuing my health and that I wanted to live in service, and I didn't know how that what that was going to mean, because it wasn't necessarily revealed all at once. But but because I had to like basically go to the school of hard knocks and learn about eating a fruit and vegetable based raw diet and learn about health from a young age, because luckily I got better only through higher powers. But the doctor said, hey, you could get a reoccurrence of this. You have what's called complement immune deficiency, or a chronically weak immune system. So he blamed my sickness, illness on my genes. And as I have since learned, our genes may load the gun, but our lifestyle pulls the trigger, like it's called
Mm.
epigenetics. And of course, I've learned a lot of other things besides that since then. So, like, I didn't want to take their diagnosis that I have a bad immune system, that I might get sick again. I wanted to do something about it to ensure that I wouldn't be back in the hospital again and be in that same situation. So, I mean, that simply is what I've done systematically and pragmatically over all these years, which is now 29 years.
Okay, 29 years. So you're how old now, John?
So I never mentioned my age
Okay, but we
publicly due to privacy reasons.
okay, but we can do the math because if you were 22 and then it was 29, wow, so you're oh my God, so you're over 50. Okay,
Well, I'm not mentioning no numbers, but
okay.